Under the shroud of dawn, when mist still clings to the skin of the world, there lies a lake that does not speak its name. It stretches in silence, a vast mirror where the sky leans down to kiss its own reflection. The air there is colder, gentler, as if time itself hesitates upon its surface. No wind dares disturb its stillness for long, and those who gaze too deeply into its glassy heart hear something, a whisper, a sigh, a song not meant for mortal ears. The forest around it breathes softly. Pines bow toward the water as though in reverence, and reeds sway to a rhythm older than any human melody. The earth feels tender, saturated with secrets. One could almost believe the lake lives, that beneath its silvery calm beats a pulse, slow, eternal, patient. Those who wander too close feel it before they see it, a hush, a pulling, as though the air thickens with awareness. The lake looks back. At dawn, the light trembles upon the surface like fingertips brushing skin. The mists drift low, caressing the edge of the water, revealing and concealing with languid grace. Sometimes, when the world is still and the breath of morning barely stirs, a shape seems to form among the ripples. Not a reflection, not a trick of the eye, but something that watches. It glides just beneath the glass, trailing soft waves like a memory surfacing before sinking again. The villagers from the nearby hills speak of her only in murmurs. To some, she is a spirit of mercy, guardian of the lake who grants peace to the sorrowful. To others, she is a lure, a beautiful curse woven from moonlight and longing. None agree on her form. Some claim she appears as a woman of pale radiance, hair flowing like water, eyes fathomless as the abyss below. Others swear she takes the guise of whatever the heart most desires. Beloved lost, dream unattainable, beauty imagined in solitude. But all agree on one thing: those who meet her never return unchanged. The lake has no name, yet everyone knows its presence. Travelers who pass by feel compelled to stop, to look. The silence is seductive, heavy with promise. Even the air smells different, like rain that never fell, like tears never shed. The sunlight seems to sink rather than shine, dissolving into the depths as though consumed. If one throws a stone, the ripples move too slowly, spiraling outward with impossible patience. The echoes linger, like the fading warmth of a touch. At night, the lake becomes a realm of light and shadow. The moon stretches herself across its body, and the stars drift closer, their reflections trembling on the surface like living eyes. Frogs fall silent, birds still their wings, and the world listens. There is a hum beneath it all, a faint vibration that seeps through the soil, through the hearts of those who linger. Some say it is the sound of her breathing. Others think it is the water dreaming of what it once held. Once, long ago, or perhaps only a moment past, someone spoke of seeing her rise. The story tells of a night so still that even the wind refused to move. The lake lay flat as glass, and the moon shone in perfect circle above. Then the water rippled without cause, and a shape emerged. First, hair darker than night, yet gleaming with silver light, then shoulders that shone as though the stars had descended to rest upon them. Her eyes, two pieces of the lake itself, met the world's gaze. She did not speak, she only smiled, and the air filled with the scent of lilies and rain. By dawn, she was gone, and the witness never spoke again, save to whisper that beauty can be both gift and wound. Some say she was once human, a maiden betrayed and cast into the waters by the man she loved. The lake took pity, cradling her body until it learned to breathe her sorrow. Others claim she was born of the elements, a daughter of mist and moonlight, untouched by flesh. But no tale agrees on her truth, and perhaps that is her power. She exists not as fact, but as feeling, as ache, a presence felt more than seen, like the memory of a caress. The villages warn their children never to swim too far. They say the water pulls harder the deeper you go, as though arms unseen wish to draw you down. Fishermen swear that nets lowered into the center come back glistening and empty, as if the lake refuses to be harvested. Yet some still come, lovers seeking eternal vows, poets chasing inspiration, wanderers yearning for something nameless. The lake listens to them all. Sometimes it returns their reflections, sometimes it keeps them. Even in daylight, the shadows beneath the surface seem alive. The light bends strangely, wrapping around unseen shapes. Birds that pass over the water slow their flight, wings beating softly, as if afraid to disturb a dream. Every sound becomes amplified. The rustle of leaves, the drip of condensation, the whisper of fabric against skin. The world tightens around the listener, intimate and hushed. In such silence, it is easy to believe the lake is whispering one's name. Yet, there is no malice in its voice, only longing, only the tenderness that hides its danger in beauty. When rain falls, the drops melt into the surface without sound, absorbed instantly as though welcomed home. When the wind comes, it dances along the edges, brushing the reeds into song. Everything the lake touches seems to soften, to surrender. It is a place where boundaries blur, between air and water, dream and memory, desire and fear. Travelers who have seen it claim that once they turned away, they could still feel it behind them, the pull, the awareness, the sense that if they looked back, she would be there, standing at the shore, watching. But no one dares to look twice, for to meet her gaze is to be seen completely, and the human heart is not made for such naked truth. The Lady of the Lake, a name whispered more like a prayer than a legend. No one knows who first spoke it or when. Her story has no beginning, no end, only ripples that reach through centuries, each retelling shifting slightly, as though she herself chooses which truth to reveal. Some hear her voice in dreams, calling softly through water. Others claim she appears in reflections, her face flickering behind their own. A few say she saves those who are drowning, lifting them gently to the surface before disappearing again. But others, with haunted eyes, whisper that she only saves them to keep them deep beneath her stillness. Perhaps she is neither savior nor siren, but something in between, the embodiment of what humans cannot name, the still point where love and death, peace and surrender meet. The lake does not judge, it only mirrors what it receives. And so she waits beneath the surface, her hair drifting like threads of night, her eyes open toward the world that forgets her. The moonlight folds itself around her as if reluctant to leave. Above, the forest breathes and the wind sighs through branches. Below, her body sways gently with the current, unbound by time. She listens to the faint echoes of footsteps on the shore, the lovers, the dreamers, the lost. Each sound stirs her memory. Each ripple is a promise. They say that when the mist thickens at twilight, the lake glows faintly from within. Some see it as a reflection of the dying sun. Others know better. They feel her presence rising, the water trembling with anticipation, as if the boundary between worlds grows thin. That is when the whispers return, soft, rhythmic, almost human. Those who linger too long claim they understand the words for a heartbeat before forgetting them forever. Why then do they still come? Why do hearts ache to see her, to hear her song, to touch the surface that separates the living from the eternal? Perhaps because the lake holds what the world cannot, beauty without end, desire without satisfaction, peace without release. And so the question lingers in every drop, in every echo that fades across the water's skin. Why does the lake never release those who fall in love with its depths?
At the hour when the first mist rises from the water, he appeared, silent, almost part of the fog itself. The wanderer came with no name and no memory worth carrying. His cloak was heavy with dew, his hands rough from the road, and his eyes hollow with the kind of longing that no destination could soothe. He had heard of the lake that did not give back what it took, and something inside him whispered that this was where he must go. The forest thinned until only the soft breath of the water remained. The air shimmered faintly as if holding its own secret. The wanderer stopped at the edge of the shore, where reeds bent with a slow grace, and the silence pressed close. Before him stretched the lake, vast, still, silver beneath the morning light. Its surface trembled like a thought about to speak. He knelt, touching the water. It was cold, yet alive. The ripples spread outward, and for a heartbeat he thought the reflection was not his own. A shimmer beneath the surface caught his eye, a movement, delicate as a sigh. He leaned closer, and the air changed. The mist thickened, the world grew still, and from the deep came a glow that pulsed like breath. Then she rose. The water parted without sound. Her form emerged slowly, the curve of her shoulders breaking through the surface like moonlight through clouds. Drops clung to her skin as if unwilling to let go. Her hair, dark and weightless, floated around her face like a crown of shadows. She looked at him with eyes that seemed to hold the memory of tides, and though she said nothing, the air itself seemed to hum with her presence. He could not tell if she was human. She seemed too fluid, too seamless with the water that birthed her. Every motion she made was part of the lake's rhythm, as though she had never been separate from it. When she finally spoke, her voice was the sound of ripples over stone. "You should not be here," she said softly. "This place remembers those who come, even when they wish to forget." He wanted to speak, but his throat tightened. "I have nothing left to forget," he managed. Her gaze did not waver. "Then you came to give yourself away." He did not answer. She stepped closer, the water folding beneath her feet like silk. The mist wrapped around her body, tracing the shape of her form in delicate veils. She was neither clothed nor bare, only adorned in the shimmer of the lake, as though she were sculptured from its reflection. "What are you?" he asked, though part of him feared the answer. "I am what you see," she replied, "the voice that waits beneath stillness, the reflection that watches when you no longer look." Her words should have chilled him, but instead they soothed something deep within. He felt seen, not as a man, but as a soul unraveling. She studied him, her expression unreadable. "You are warm," she murmured. "The warmth of those who live in fleeting moments. It's strange how easily you fade and yet how much you feel." He swallowed, unable to look away. "And you?" he asked. "Do you not feel?" Her lips curved in a quiet, sorrowful smile. "I feel everything. But the lake keeps what it touches. Joy, sorrow, love. They sink. I am made of what remains." She reached out, and her fingers brushed his cheek. The touch was cool, yet electric, as though she carried the memory of storms within her skin. He felt the pulse of the lake in her veins, slow and endless. For an instant, he imagined surrendering to that stillness, letting it wash away all that hurt. "You are not the first to come," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "Many have stood where you stand, drawn by longing they could not name. They spoke of beauty, of redemption, yet when they looked into the water, they saw only themselves." He met her gaze, and in her eyes he saw the truth. Loneliness, vast and eternal. "Then you're lonely too," he said quietly. Her eyes flickered. "Lonely?" The word trembled in the air. "If I am lonely, it is because I remember too much. Every face, every promise, every voice that once called my name. They live within me now, murmuring in the dark." He stepped closer. The mist thinned between them, and for the first time he could see her clearly. The faint curve of her shoulders, the shimmer of light across her skin. She was unreal, and yet her sadness made her almost human. "I came because I heard your voice. Not with my ears, but in dreams. It sounded like home." Something softened in her expression, though her voice remained calm. "The lake speaks to those who wake. It promises nothing, yet they come." He reached toward her, stopping just short of touch. "Then perhaps I came to listen." The lady tilted her head, studying him with a quiet intensity. "And if you listen too long, what then?" "Then I stay," he said simply. A ripple crossed the water.
The lady's eyes darkened, her tone shifting like a tide. If you stay, you will not return. The lake does not release what it claims. You will become part of it. Reflection, whisper, memory. Are you ready to lose what you are?
He hesitated, but not from fear. I don't know what I am anymore, he said. Perhaps that's already lost. She drew closer, close enough that he could feel the cool air of her breath. Mortals always say such things, she whispered, until the lake begins to forget them. Their faces were inches apart now. He could see the faint shimmer of tears or water at the corner of her eyes. Her voice softened, threaded with something fragile. "Why do you not fear me?" He said, "Because you look as I feel." The silence that followed was tender, almost holy. Around them the mist drifted like slow fire. The lake held its breath. The lady's hand rested against his chest, above his heart. "It beats," she murmured. "How strange that something so fragile can sound louder than the water." He covered her hand with his own. "It beats for what it cannot have." Her gaze lingered there, and something unreadable passed across her face, an ache that belonged to centuries. She said softly, "Perhaps that is why you recalled, to remind me what it means to long and not possess." Her hand slipped from his, leaving only the chill behind. She stepped back, her body dissolving into the glow of the mist. "Go," she said, though her voice trembled, "while the lake still allows it." He did not move. "Will I see you again?" She whispered, "If you return, you will not leave. The lake will remember your name, even if you forget it." For a long moment they watched each other, two reflections caught between worlds. Then, with a final flicker of light, she began to sink back into the water. He wanted to call out, but the words never came. Only the sound of the lake remained, soft and steady, like breath after tears. The mist swallowed her completely, leaving no trace, only a faint glow beneath the surface, as if the memory of her lingered there, waiting. The wanderer stood alone at the edge of the lake. The silence returned, but it no longer felt empty. It felt alive, aware, watching. He closed his eyes and breathed, the echo of her voice still rippling within him. Somewhere beneath the stillness, the lady listened too, and though they stood in separate worlds, their longing met between them, soft, endless, and inevitable. Days passed, or perhaps none did. Time moved differently near the lake. its rhythm stretched thin between memory and dream. The wanderer returned each dawn, drawn not by reason, but something older, more primitive, her voice. It called without sound, threading through his thoughts like a melody half remembered. Each night he told himself he would not go back, and each morning he found himself walking the same path through the mist until the world beyond the shore ceased to exist. He no longer questioned what she was. The lady had become a presence that haunted his waking hours. Her image shimmered behind his eyelids, her voice echoed in the stillness of his chest. When she appeared, rising again from the water's heart, the air itself seemed to hold its breath. "You should not come," she said, her tones soft but edged with sorrow. He smiled faintly. "Then why do you let me?" Her gaze flickered, the faintest tremor passing across her lips. "Because the lake listens to me, but it does not obey. It brings you back as it once brought others." He stepped closer to the edge, the mist brushing his face like cold fingers. "Then we are both prisoners, you to its depths and I to you." The lady's expression deepened with something unspoken. "You do not understand what you risk. Each time you come, the water remembers more of you. Soon it will call for what remains." But her warning carried no weight against the pull between them. Their gazes met, his filled with longing, hers with resignation, and the air trembled like a taut string. That night he did not return to the forest. He built a small fire near the shore, though its light seemed fragile against the lake's pale glow. He stayed awake, listening to the water's soft murmur, half expecting it to speak his name. And when at last she rose again, it was not dawn, but moonlight that revealed her form. She moved toward him, her steps silent on the surface, her eyes luminous with reflected flame. "You should sleep," she said. "I can't," he whispered. "When I close my eyes, I hear." "You hear the lake," she said. "It has no mercy for those who listen too closely."
He reached out a hand, palm open. "Then let it have me. What else do I have to give?" The lady stopped inches away. The night air between them was charged, fragile. Her gaze traveled from his face to his outstretched hand, then back to his eyes. "You would give yourself so easily?" "Not easily, but willingly." The silence that followed felt alive. The lake rippled faintly, as if stirred by their breath. She reached out, her fingers hesitating above his skin. When she finally touched him, it was like cool fire. The sensation spread through him, slow and aching. His heart beat louder, echoing in the still air. Her eyes closed, and for a moment she let herself feel the warmth, the pulse, the dangerous intimacy of the living. "You burn. Every heartbeat feels like sunlight. I had forgotten how it feels." He moved closer, their faces almost touching. "And what do I feel like to you?" She opened her eyes, "Like something I should not want." The words struck him deeper than any kiss could. He saw in her face the struggle she carried, the duty to guard the lake's silence, and the yearning to break it.
He could feel her trembling beneath the stillness she wore like armor. Why fight it? If the lake owns you, let me share the weight. Her breath caught. You don't understand, she said. The lake is not only mine, it is me. Its will runs through my veins. When I love, it hungers. When I reach, it pulls. The more I feel, the deeper it calls. If I take you, it will not let you go. He smiled faintly. Then take me. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The mist around them thickened, curling like living smoke. The lake's surface darkened, responding to the surge of her emotion. For the first time, she looked afraid. You cannot know what you ask. Desire is not gentle here. It devours. He stepped closer until their foreheads almost touching, then let it. Her control faltered. The glow beneath her skin brightened, pulsing with every beat of his heart. The water behind her stirred violently, waves rising though no wind blew. She gripped his shoulders, her touch both desperate and tender. You don't belong here, she said again, but her voice was breaking. I belong wherever you are.
The words undid her. The power that held her bound began to waver, like moonlight trembling on broken water. She kissed him, not out of command, but surrender. The moment their lips met, the world fell silent. The lake responded with a low hum, a vibration that moved through their bodies, through the earth itself. It was not warmth, but a deep, resonant cold, as though the water had opened its heart to claim them both. Her kiss tasted of rain and sorrow, of eternity reaching toward what it could never keep. When they parted, the lady's eyes glistened with fear and wonder. It knows, she said, voice barely audible. The lake feels me loving you. He cupped her face gently, then let it feel. But the surface around them began to churn. The glow beneath the water turned darker, deeper, a reflection of her turmoil. The mist swirled violently, and the air filled with the scent of rain. The lake is jealous, she whispered, trembling. It does not share what belongs to it. Do you? He asked softly. Her answer came as a tear that rolled down her cheek, a single droplet that fell into the water and vanished. I have no choice, she said. It made me from its longing. It shaped me to lure, to hold, to keep. I am its voice, its vessel, its eternal hunger. To love me is to sink. And still, I cannot turn away. She closed her eyes, pressing her forehead to his. Then I will love you for as long as the lake allows, she whispered. But every moment will bring you closer to its depths. I am already there. And he kissed her again. The water surged higher, covering their feet, then their knees. It coiled around them like living silk, cool and inexorable. She tried to pull back, but his arms held her gently, not in defiance, but in devotion. Please, she breathed, tears mixed with the mist. If I let it take you, I will lose what little of myself still belongs to the light. Then remember me, he said.
even when I'm gone." Her voice broke. "The lake remembers everything. That is its curse." The waves rose again, surrounding them in silver foam. Their bodies glowed faintly, entwined in the reflection of moonlight and despair. The air quivered with the tension of two worlds colliding, one born of breath, the other of silence. And as the first drop of rain fell, she knew there was no turning back. The Lady of the Lake had done what she was never meant to do. She had loved.
The lake held its breath under the silver gaze of the moon. Every ripple trembled like a heartbeat, carrying the weight of anticipation. He stood at the edge, feeling the cold mist settle against his skin, but his focus was entirely on her. The lady rose from the water with her usual grace, her form luminous and untouchable, yet brimming with longing. Her eyes, deep as the lake itself, searched his, tracing the contours of a heart that had wandered too long. "You should not be here," she whispered, voice low and trembling. "I cannot stay away, not from you, not from this moment." The mist swirled around them, a living veil. Her hand hovered over his cheek, hesitant, fragile, yet electric. The air pulsed with the tension of desire and dread. Each breath shared a promise and a warning. He leaned closer, and the space between them vanished. Her lips barely brushed his, a tentative touch that sent shivers through his body. He pressed forward, and the kiss deepened, urgent, alive. The water rose to meet them, cold and soft, coiling around their legs like a living silk. Her hair fanned across his shoulders, dark ribbons in the moonlight, carrying the scent of rain and reeds. Every movement she made resonated through the lake, through him, through the suspended world around them. "You burn with life," she murmured, "and yet you would give it to me, knowing the cost." "I would give anything," he said, trembling, "for this moment with you." Her hands traced his chest, fingers cool yet insistent, mapping the heat of his pulse. The lake surged beneath them, responding to her emotions, wrapping them in liquid tension. Every touch dissolved boundaries. Warmth met cold, desire met fear, mortality met eternity. "You cannot know what this will do," she whispered. "The lake will not release you. Each heartbeat brings you closer to it, closer to me, and yet farther from the world you know." "I have already left that world behind," he said. "I am here with you in this." She shivered, leaning into him, her lips tracing the line of his neck. Every brush of skin against skin sent waves through them, through the water, through the night. Her voice became a vibration he felt rather than heard, sliding along his spine, curling around his heart. The air thickened with their shared need, mingled with the cold, liquid embrace of the lake. Their bodies pressed together instinctively and desperately. He felt her warmth, fragile and fleeting, dissolve into the cool embrace of the lake. She clung to him, trembling yet commanding, guiding them both in a dance of surrender and control. Every sigh, every shiver, every heartbeat merged with the pulsing of the lake beneath them. "I cannot hold back," she whispered. "The lake, it hungers for what it claims. I will be claimed as long as it is with you. The water responded, rising around them, wrapping their bodies in its cool, unrelenting embrace. It pressed against their skin, cold yet thrilling, a reminder that pleasure and peril were inseparable. Their movements became elemental, part water, part flesh, part desire. Each touch, each sigh, each heartbeat carried the weight of eternity and mortality intertwined. Her lips met his again, soft yet insistent, and the mist closed around them like a cocoon. Every sense was heightened, the cool caress of water against skin, the warmth of her body, the scent of rain and reeds, the hum of the lake vibrating through their bones. She pressed closer, wrapping him in her essence, and he responded in kind, surrendering completely. "You are alive," she whispered, trembling, "and yet you belong to the lake." "I am yours," he said. The water swirled violently around them, responding to their union. Every ripple carried pleasure and danger, each wave a pulse of rapture and fear. They became one with the lake, and in that unity, boundaries dissolved. Warmth mingled with cold, desire with sorrow, mortality with eternity. Every motion, every touch, every shiver became sacred, ecstatic, and tragic. Her fingers traced his arms, his chest, memorizing the fragile warmth of life. He held her, trembling under the intensity of the connection, feeling the pulse of centuries beneath her skin, the weight of the lake in every embrace. Their lips met again, slow and reverent, every kiss a surrender and a claim. "I cannot stay with you without giving everything," she whispered, voice breaking. "The lake will take it all." "I will not resist," he said. "If it is with you, it does not matter." The mist thickened, coiling around them, reflecting the silver moonlight on the rippling water. The lake surged higher, pressing against their bodies, but also holding them, merging them. They moved together, instinctive, elemental, a fusion of flesh, soul, and water. Desire and fear were inseparable. Ecstasy was inseparable from loss. She pressed her forehead to his, her breath mingling with his, carrying the scent of rain and longing. Every moment we share deepens the claim of the lake. It will not let go. "I am already claimed," he said, voice low and trembling, "and I will not regret it." The lake surged, waves curling around them, enveloping them in liquid silk. Every touch became memory, every sigh became a promise, every heartbeat a warning. They moved as one, no longer mortal and immortal, but water and warmth, flesh and eternity, desire and surrender. The lake embraced them, and in that embrace they found perfection. Tragic, sacred, ecstatic. Her lips traced his cheek, then his neck, her fingers sliding along his chest, feeling the pulse of life beneath her touch. The water shivered around them, alive and conscious, aware of the union, claiming it. He pressed himself to her, and in that instant, warmth and cold, mortal and eternal, were indistinguishable. The union deepened, a dance of breath, touch, and heartbeat. Their souls brushed against each other, dissolving into the rhythm of the lake. Pleasure and fear coexisted, desire and peril indistinguishable, as though the universe itself had paused to witness the merging of two impossibly different beings. She shivered in his arms, lips brushing his ear, whispering half-words of longing and warning. "The lake," she murmured, "it remembers every heartbeat, every sigh. It knows what we are doing." "I do not care, only that it is with you." The waves rose higher, coiling around them like living silk, pressing and holding, yet allowing. Every movement, every sigh, every caress became sacred. Their union was not just physical, but spiritual, elemental, merging mortal warmth with the eternal cold of the lake. Ecstasy and danger were inseparable, each heightening the other, creating a rapture that was both sacred and tragic. The lady pressed against him, shivering, trembling under the intensity of their connection. The water lapped at their bodies, cold and unyielding, yet it carried the thrill of eternity. Every pulse, every heartbeat, every sigh resonated with the lake itself, weaving a tapestry of ecstasy and peril. And when at last their bodies stilled, their breaths mingling in the mist, the lake seemed to sigh, a living entity, satisfied yet insistent. She rested her forehead against his, eyes glistening with tears and moonlight. "You are mine, and the lake knows. Every heartbeat, every breath, it will not release you fully. Then let it claim me, as long as it is with you." For a long moment they remained there, wrapped in water and longing, warmth and cold, desire and fear, sacred, ecstatic, tragic. They had merged with the lake, with each other, with the impossible moment where love and loss became indistinguishable. And the lake, as ever, watched. The lake lay still beneath the first light of dawn, its surface glassy, reflecting pale streaks of sun. The wanderer stood at the shore, feeling the weight of what had passed. He was changed, no longer entirely himself. The water had claimed pieces of him, threading memory and sensation into his pulse, leaving him aware of something vast and eternal beneath the surface. He knelt and let his fingers touch the cool water. It responded, subtle yet alive, rippling faintly as if the lake remembered every moment he had shared with her. Every touch carried her presence, the warmth of her skin, the shiver of her hands, the vibration of her voice threading through him. She was there, in essence, though invisible, unreachable, a shadow beneath the ripples. The lady herself had vanished from view. Her form no longer rose above the water, yet she existed everywhere within it. The lake shimmered with her memory, reflecting light as though her gaze followed him from below. She was absent and present simultaneously, a phantom of longing, love, and sorrow. The pull he felt toward the water was her, the memory of their union made manifest in every ripple. He knelt in silence, letting the water lap over his hands, tracing the memory of her touch. The lake's pulse beneath his fingertips was not the rhythm of life alone. It was older, deeper, threaded with the weight of desire and grief, a testament to the connection that had been forged and could never fade. Every ripple recalled her warmth and cold, her laughter and tears, the ache of desire intertwined with the peril of surrender. He tried to call her name, but the words vanished into the mist. No answer came, yet he felt her in the tremor of the water, in the subtle shifts of its surface. Her presence was constant, intimate, yet forever beyond reach. It was both gift and torment, a beauty that could not be held, a longing that would never end.
The wanderer walked along the shore. The world beyond, the trees, the distant sky, felt muted and unreal. The lake had absorbed their union, its surface carrying the pulse of everything that had passed. Each ripple contained memory, the brush of her hair, the touch of her lips, the press of her body, the ecstasy and ache intertwined. The lake was alive with them both, and through it he carried her with him, in every heartbeat, in every breath. He returned often, drawn not by hope of seeing her form, but by the pull of her essence within the water. Sometimes he thought he glimpsed her beneath the surface, a shimmer, a flicker of hair or eyes. But when he reached, nothing remained. The memory lingered, vivid and alive, the lake preserving their union with quiet, inexorable patience. The lady remained beneath the water, not gone, but hidden. Her sorrow and longing wove into the rhythm of the lake, a silent presence felt rather than seen. Tears fell occasionally, merging with the water, leaving it glimmering with memory. Every ripple carried fragments of her. Every shimmer of light reflected the echo of their love. She existed as essence and memory, immortal and tethered, unreachably near, yet impossible to hold. The wanderer felt her in dreams and in sudden shivers when the mist touched his skin. The water responded to him, faint ripples echoing their intimacy. He could no longer separate memory from reality. To touch the lake was to touch her. To hear its whisper was to hear her voice. Their love had transcended the physical. It was elemental, eternal, carried in the pulse of water and the reflection of light. The lake had changed. Its waters reflected the world differently, softening edges, deepening shadows, alive with memory. Those who came near felt it subtly, a sense of longing without origin, a pull they could not resist. The ripple of water against stone, the shimmer of sunlight on the surface carried fragments of their union. The lady and the wanderer were preserved within it, bound together by memory and desire. Though he remained mortal, the wanderer was marked by eternity. Each return to the shore left him more entwined with the lake, more attuned to its subtle movements.
Her warmth lingered in his veins, her voice resonated in his chest, her presence inscribed on every nerve. He had been given a gift he could not hold in flesh, but could never release from memory. The lady did not rise again. She remained submerged, part of the lake, yet present in every ripple, every shimmer, every subtle vibration of the water. Her sorrow and love mingled with the currents, permanent and unyielding. The lake had become a vessel for memory and longing, a living testament to a union that could not survive in the world above.
He returned repeatedly, sometimes kneeling at the water's edge, sometimes sitting in silence. The lake responded to him, faint ripples tracing her essence, echoing their intimacy. The memory of their love was both balm and torment, a reminder of what had been and could never be again. Beauty and sorrow intertwined, creating a tension that was exquisite and unbearable. When the sun struck the water at certain angles, he glimpsed a faint shimmer beneath the surface, impossible to grasp. It was her, or the echo of her, inseparable from the lake. The sight brought longing, tempered by ache. He could never hold her again, but the memory existed in a form more enduring than flesh. The lady's presence was everywhere and nowhere, a reflection in the water, a pulse beneath his skin, a vibration in the mist. The lake had absorbed her fully, and through it she touched him still. Every step he took, every breath, every glance at water reminded him of the intimacy they had shared. Though separated by form, they were inseparable in memory and sensation. The lake had become a monument to their love. Its surface shimmered with memory, each wave carrying fragments of passion and longing, desire and loss. Those who wandered near could feel it, a subtle ache they could not name. The lady and the mortal existed in the water, preserved in essence, entwined eternally, impossible and unforgettable. The wanderer left the shore eventually, returning to the world, but he did so altered. Every gesture, every touch, every heartbeat was haunted by her presence. The lady remained in the water, immortal and silent, her essence interwoven with its pulse. Together, in form or memory, they existed in a union the world could not touch, but could not erase. Time moved differently near the lake. Days and months were irrelevant. The mist, the waves, the shifting light, all carried the weight of memory. Every ripple told their story. Every shimmer of moonlight bore witness. Their love had been sacred and impossible. The lake preserved it with patience and precision, immortalizing what could not survive in the ordinary world. And so the lake waited, patient, shimmering with memory. It held them both in its depths, a testament to love that could not exist in the ordinary world, yet refused to be forgotten. Every ripple, every glint of sunlight, every sigh of mist carried their story. The mortal and the lady were bound together, in essence and memory, forever part of the pulse of water, desire, and eternity.
The lake rests in quiet splendor, its surface silvered with early light, a mirror of sky and soul. Time moves differently here, measured not by hours or seasons, but by ripples, reflections, and the subtle pulse of memory beneath the surface. Those who come to the shore feel it immediately, a pull, a weight of longing, of love and loss entwined, pressing softly against the chest, awakening something they cannot name. The lady remains, her essence woven into the water, invisible yet undeniable. She is the pulse beneath the surface, the shimmer in sunlight, the whisper of wind across ripples. To touch the lake is to touch her. To hear its sighs is to hear her voice. She exists as desire, memory, something beyond form, eternal yet unreachable. Love, the myth whispers, is surrender. To give oneself wholly is to vanish into the other, to merge with something larger, ungraspable. The mortal learned this at the edge of the lake, in the meeting of warmth and cold, flesh and water, longing and peril. In surrender he found union and loss indistinguishable, a fusion leaving the world infinitely beautiful and unbearably empty. Desire mirrors the unknown, the pull of the lady, the call of her voice. The promise of the lake reflects the part of the soul that hungers for what cannot be held. It is a longing that shapes memory, colors perception, and bends the heart toward the ineffable. The more one reaches for it, the more elusive it becomes. Yet the pursuit renders life vivid, making the ache of absence and the warmth of memory equally precious. The lake embodies this paradox, beauty that is gift and curse, pleasure and danger, intimacy and solitude. To gaze upon its surface is to see one's reflection intertwined with what cannot be possessed. To enter its waters is to risk disappearance, to surrender fully to an eternal mystery. The lady embodies this truth, the living emblem of what is desired and feared, the eternal echo of longing. Those who hear the legend feel its pull without knowing why. Perhaps they glimpse it in moonlight shimmering on water, in a sigh of wind across mist, in a tremor on skin. The story seeps into the heart, awakening recognition of what love truly is. Not ownership, not certainty, but surrender, resonance, and transformation. It is a love that leaves one changed irrevocably, touching depths once uncharted.
Memory carries it forward. The mortal walked away from the lake, but he never left. Her presence threaded every breath, every heartbeat, every quiet moment of reflection. He carried both the joy of union and the ache of absence, a paradox encoded in flesh and soul. To remember her was to feel warmth and cold, ecstasy and sorrow, beauty and danger entwined. The myth teaches that such love cannot be contained, yet cannot be erased. The lady, submerged yet luminous, carried her own memory of him. She remembered the brush of his hand, the press of his lips, the tremor of his pulse against hers. Though hidden, her essence remained vivid. She moved with the water, shaping currents, shimmering beneath the surface, a witness to what had been given and lost. There is a poetry in the ache, a sacred rhythm in longing. Love as surrender leaves marks that endure, imprints on the soul that mark it alive. Desire entwined with the unknown sharpens perception, deepens emotion, transforms memory. Beauty, mortal and immortal, is not merely to be seen or touched, but felt, carried and remembered, a gift that cannot be possessed without cost. Time bends around such truths. The lake has witnessed centuries, yet each ripple remembers the mortal and the lady as if they had just emerged from mist. The story does not fade, it reverberates, an echo that calls to hearts willing to feel deeply, to surrender to love and loss, to recognize beauty entwined with peril, intimacy with solitude. Those who linger sense it, a pull they cannot resist, a quiet ache that marks them forever. The myth speaks in subtle ways, the ripple of water against stone, the shimmer of sunlight on the surface, the tension between desire and fear. The moment surrender becomes ecstasy, when union dissolves boundaries, when beauty carries both joy and sorrow. It is a lesson felt, experienced, and carried within. The mortal's footsteps fade, yet his essence lingers. He is changed, touched by the eternal, marked by what is desired yet unattainable. Every step, every breath, every glance at water reminded him of the intimacy they shared. Though separated by form, they were inseparable in memory and sensation. The lady watches in quiet solitude, immortal yet tied to what she cannot hold. She is beauty and danger, intimacy and distance, desire and mystery. Her presence is woven into the lake, an eternal pattern of movement and reflection, a living testament to love's paradox. She exists for those who seek, who remember, who surrender to the ache of longing and the thrill of connection beyond grasp. Love as surrender leaves traces that endure. Desire becomes memory, beauty becomes wisdom, longing becomes insight. The lake preserves these truths, carrying them in every ripple, shimmer, and sigh of wind. To approach it is to feel what cannot be captured, to recognize presence and absence, pleasure and pain, mortal and eternal entwined. The story echoes through time, soft and persistent, whispered in lapping water, shimmering moonlight, mist on skin. It teaches that profound connection requires surrender, that the unknown is both peril and gift, that beauty is inseparable from risk, that desire shapes memory and heart alike. Those who feel it are changed, aware of depths they cannot name but recognize. Even now, the lake waits, patient and eternal. It carries the pulse of their union, the memory of warmth and cold, of touch and surrender, of joy and sorrow intertwined. It is a monument without form, a story without words, a presence felt rather than seen. Those who linger sense something sacred, impossible, beautiful, and achingly human, even when the lady remains hidden beneath silver depths. The myth endures. Love is not ownership. Desire is not fulfillment. Beauty is not permanence. It exists in memory, sensation, and surrender. It is alive in the water, mist, and tremor of the world, reflecting what cannot be held. It is the ache of absence and the pulse of union, the echo of longing and witness of love. The mortal and lady are gone in form, but present in essence. Their union persists in memory, reflection, and ripple. In quiet tremors, love leaves its mark, desire its imprint, beauty its paradox. The lake carries it all, silent and eternal, shimmering with the paradox of what was given and lost, sacred and dangerous, enduring beyond comprehension. The story leaves one suspended between wonder and ache. Surrender is strength, longing is a bridge, beauty both gift and burden. Those who approach feel the pull, touch the surface, hear the sighs, participate in something beyond themselves. The lady waits, immortal and enigmatic. The mortal walks on, transformed and tethered. The lake holds them both, resonant with desire and love that defies time. As sun rises, scattering light across silver waters, the myth whispers in every shimmer, ripple, and breath of wind. Quiet, yet insistent, it lingers in the heart long after leaving the shore. It reminds the world that love, desire, and beauty are inseparable from longing and loss, that surrender is the gateway to ecstasy, and memory preserves what form cannot contain. The lady and mortal exist now as pulse and shadow, reflection and memory, desire and surrender. Their story is carried in the rhythm of the lake, the whisper of water, the tremor of light. It is felt, not held, known, not possessed, remembered, not captured. Those who listen may hear it in the stillness, a quiet ache, a shimmer of longing, a trace of the impossible made eternal.